Hi, I'm Scott, and today we're going to look at Super Mario Adventure DX. This is a Japanese copy, as you can see, but I've just started to see these things pop up in UK retail outlets, somewhere between £20 and £30. So let's have a look, and then you can decide if it's something that you're interested in. Let's go ahead and see what we get in the box. So actually, when you receive it, it is many more pieces. There's some instructions that you need to follow to get everything together, and there's some sticky things to be done. So we get the main thing, and as I said, when you first receive it, that will be in all sorts of bits, and that's going to go on top in a second. We get two little plastic balls. They're they're heavy-ish. Well, they're not really heavy at all. They're plastic balls is what they are. We get a little assortment of character pieces. We'll look at those closer in a second. And we get a big backdrop. It should be probably a little bit evident by the fact that this is still in its original wrapping, that I barely ever use that. It just adds nicely to the backdrop. You can see it on the front of the box here and on some of the box art. It makes it look pretty for pictures, but in reality, I wouldn't really bother too much with it. I will show you with it on though. So setup is fairly straightforward, and let's have a look at that now. So this is the main body of the piece. This is what you'll get. Once you've stuck a few bits in, I think these bits you have to sort of stick in to begin with. But this is the broad piece. You can see there are quite a few stickers on here. You will have to do quite a bit of stickering at the beginning when you first receive it. I think the stickers are really quite nice, actually. Lots of very Mario-centric stuff. I really like these stickers, actually. I haven't had to re-stick these once since I received it, which is good news, unlike some of the Epoch Mario Kart stuff, for example. So that's really, really good. What we also get is a whole bunch of these sort of character tokens to kind of make it a little bit more exciting and spruce up the theming, which is quite nice. You can see already that there's lots of sort of green for the drain pipes, and there are these little sort of drain pipey things as well. And we'll show you how the ball works in a minute. In order to assemble, we have to get this back on the top first. So that clips on there like that. It just pegs nicely into there. And then we go to work assembling all sorts of bits and pieces. So I think the deal is we put a little Mario up there. That lets us know where we're going to start. We got a Luigi. He's going to go here. Actually, we'll slot him in there, and then he'll go there. And he'll probably, I think he bobbles around when we spin those. We've got Yoshi, who sits there. We've got a Hammer Brother, who will sit down here. And finally, we've got, I think he's called Magic Cooper, and he sits down at the end. So bizarrely, he is like the final boss. It's clearly not a Bowser type thing. Bowser sits down there as an imagery, but Magic Koopa's the final boss here. So there we go. So the aim is going to be to get from here, where we drop the ball in, down to via multiple routes down to the goal down here and defeat the big old bad old Kremzik. What we've got is there are 3 buttons that we're going to be using, as well as some spinny dial-y things. Okay, so we have this one here, which activates parts on this side. We have this one in the middle, which, as you can see, is making things jiggle up in the middle. And finally, on this side, it's a jiggly-jiggly on that side. So there's a bunch of different things going on, so they're quite interesting. You can see from the mechanism, if we look underneath, it's very simple, levers here with the plastic. But, robust enough, that's for sure. So let's start with the tour of the course. We drop our ball here, bop. And next thing we'll need to do is hit this button to make it roll down. So now we're going to have to do a bit of jumping over the plant, and let's get a little bit closer if we can. So the aim of this next section is to hop once and then hop over this nice little piranha plant. A really nicely sculpted piranha plant. It's a shame it's all in red, but there we go. So hopefully we'll get over in a second. There we go. Oops. You're seeing it now. It's not always very easy. Let's try that again. I'll drop it down there. There we go, 1 finally. And as you can see, this piranha plant does come up with a nice sort of bitey action, which is very characteristic of the Mario stuff. Hopefully we're going to get over the top and not fall off. There we go. So now we end up on the wall, and let's have a closer look at that. So once our ball is rolled down here nicely, which we will just redo again, it ends up down at the bottom here. So now we have to ping up the steps by hitting the brown button. It's sometimes very annoying. And if you overshoot, you end up back at the plant again, which is a pain. Ah. Hey, there we go. So now we roll down here and we've ended up in the sort of ghosty, twisty bit. They're a little bit like paddle wheels, basically. So as you can see, it will pick the ball up here and we will rotate it round by twisting this bit in the middle. And then in the center, we have to switch it over. So just a little bit of jiggery pokery. Quite hard to see. There we go. You can see it moving there and you just sort of give it a bit of a wiggle and hopefully the other one will be able to pick it up. There's a lot of wiggling in this game, if I'm honest. There we go. So now we can see it's on the second one of these sort of paddle wheel type things. And as we see, it'll roll over here. And it's now going to go down this way. Now, this provides us with a bit of an opportunity because we can see this thing twists here. You can use this thing, will twist it. Now this will decide now which lane the ball rolls in. So we've got two different alternate routes at the end, which is quite nice. So let's have a look what's going to happen. We can either go round here and it's going to roll down the back. And as we can see, it's going to go into this little bit down here and go down there. Alternatively, we're going to go drop down straight into here and start rolling down. So let's do the latter option first, or actually the former. Let's do that one because we're set up for it. So we'll twisting. It comes nicely out and into the little mixer it goes. So this is also controlled by, which one? It's controlled by the same one we did the ghosties in. It's quite difficult to see here, but there's essentially like a little paddle in the back here that as we twist it, it goes round. So our ball should be in there somewhere. There we go. And it's going to roll round. And as we see, this actually comes out here, and I can't remember where it's gone. It's just fallen somewhere. So your front view of this is going to look a little bit like this. It's gone in, and it can actually still, if the paddle wheel comes, it can go round this way anyway, where that goes. That's a bit of a pain in the neck, but let's just see how it goes. Now it's going to come out here, we'll notice, and then I'll show you how the sort of thing goes in a minute. There we go, and it's come down. Now, the last bit we've got is these thwompy bits at the bottom here. This is a bit of a pain, quite frankly. So you have to be super ready for it. And there are a few things which might take you by surprise. So I said it's going to come through here and then it's going to drop down here. Now, as you can see, pressing that one makes that one go up and pressing that one makes that particular thwomp go up. And we're aiming to get to a little divot here from where we're going to jump. To be fair, the best way to deal with this is to be holding these two things down by the time the ball rolls around so that you get something like this. Ball rolls around and it rolls down. Hooray, good times, it's gone underneath. If you want to be a little bit more Mario, then you can make them go up and down a bit more, but yeah, such is life. So now what we've got is one of our final obstacles, which is making the ball jump from here. Let's actually move so you can actually see. There we go. So the ball's going to jump from here and we want it to jump up here. Now, as you can see, hitting this not only makes the thwomp go, and it's going to make that go, but also it's going to make this guy jiggle up and down a little bit as well. This is quite tricky and a little bit of a pain, and normally it ends up down here in the gutter. So let's see if we can do it properly. Nope, down in there. Let's try again. I said, it is a bit of a pain. Right, well, it wasn't exactly perfect by how we did it. I'd expect it to sort of come up a bit more up here, but so be it. So we're now down here, which is a good place to be. So finally, we're aiming to get the ball into the goal, as highlighted there. It's just one good hit of the brown button. It's a bit of annoying, actually, because it's quite likely to bounce off this counter here. But, you know, so be it. Let's see if we do it. Hey, there we go. And one final hit, because it rolls nicely towards the end. Boff! There we go. He's over. Hooray! So that's the entire thing. Just a quick look at potential alternative routes. Essentially, you end up doing the same thing in the end. But say Yoshi is over here. As it comes out of the paddle wheel, it will go bounce off Yoshi and then just go straight down in there. And now, if you're in this sort of position, it will either go down to where where we've just pinged it up, or alternatively, if you're super quick, let's grab that out of there. If you're super quick on the button, after it rolls down the Yoshi bit, that's why this thing is going to spring up. So it comes out of the paddle wheel, hits Yoshi, goes down, and then rolls all the way straight down there. So you've got to be a little bit ready either way that it's going. But, you know, I think that's quite a good thing. It means there's a little bit of skill element to the game. So let's just revisit our entire trip. So let's see if we can do it all in one go without it falling off. We'll be very lucky. And over, and then we just have to hope that it goes the right way. There we go. That went quite well. That went less well. Ah. Right. And this is the sort of thing, well, make sure you... Ah. It could be a long video. There we go, good. Right, so move the ghosty paddle wheelie type things. I know they've got the nice imagery of these sort of spinning flame things that you get for the Mario games, but that's quite a nice touch really. I mean, at least it goes round. There we go. So now we're thinking about where Yoshi's going to go. I'm going to go down the front, just because I think it's an easier option. So let's make sure it is in the right place. I've got the Koopa up because I've remembered to do that now. Bit of jiggery pokery as I twist, and then, oh no, he's gone around the back anyway. That's a pain. All right, well, let's see if we can make him go. I'm going to hold both of these down. Oh, it's gone around the back, as you can see, oh, and it's gone out into the drain. Let's pretend it didn't do that, shall we? There we go, and it's down, and we're in the goal, and hooray, we're done. Good times. Now I put the back on. So you can see it is quite pretty. It's just card, and as you can see, it's kind of hooked on the back simply by one slot in there and one tab in there. I think that over time, if you did this all the time, the tabs would quite frankly just bend and be a bit sad and wrecked. So, you know, I think it doesn't lose too much. But as a sort of nicely set up thing, you know, the first time you played it, I think it looks really pretty. It's got all the nice imagery on it, which is great. And then, as I said, you've got the characters. So I think in terms of the Mario branding, it's really very good. It's got really nice sort of drain pipe imagery. It's got green ones, which are the standard ones. It's got these red ones, and you're probably wondering what that, and I'll kind of talk about that maybe in a little bit. We've got ghosts, we've got Koopas, we've got, you know, baby Bowser, whatever his name is. Bowser's on the bottom, and he's big here, but, you know, there's no actual Bowser. You know, all sorts of, we've got question mark bricks, we've got coins, we've got thwomps, we've got more coins, and obviously Yoshi. So I think from a Mario branding perspective, as a Mario game, I think it really, really works. Is that it? So from a Mario branding perspective, I think it really works. Is that it? Is that all we can do with it? Well, no, there is something else. Epoch have quite cunningly designed these little figures that they've included in a number of their games. There is a relatively terrible, I would say, balanced Bowser Castle type game that does come with a whole load of these nice little vinyl figures. Now, the clever thing about these is that whilst the game that they sit in is terrible, they can plug in to this particular game. There are also some small, I think they're called like little balancing games, equally not particularly good. But if you can get them on discount, once again, a really good source for these figures. So what we can do is, instead of having Mario there, we can slot a proper Mario in. And all of a sudden, once we get these figures in, and I'll do the same with all the others as well, we get a really, really nice looking game. I think it really adds quite a lot. Obviously, there's a cost involved of the figures themselves, but equally so, it looks really, really nice, and I think drastically improves the view of the game. So as you can see, they just slot in exactly where the other things were, and here we go. We've got a little Magic Koopa at the end. And these don't really affect the gameplay at all. I suspect that if we spin Luigi round, as you can see, he will actually knock the back of the card if we do that. But given that we don't normally play with the card on, there we go. Not a problem. Okay, so there we go. Nice spinning Luigi. Yoshi will spin around as well. Our Hammer Brother will jiggle up and down there. And finally, oh, hang on, he will go. So I think this really, really adds to the look of the game. Now you may be thinking, well, is that it? Well, for most people, I'm going to say yes. But if you're very, very lucky, you may be able to find a very old copy on eBay of This particular game, now it looks pretty similar. You can see all the motifs are there. It's got a card back, drain pipey. The ball's going to go in at the top. Various sort of things go down. We've got buttons here, and it's essentially going to end up going down there in the end. But the particularly clever thing about this is that this will come off the base. And now, if we hoik this drain pipe bit off the top first. Now remember I said that there was this slightly random flower potty drain pipey thing here? Well, it turns out that you can put this one straight on top. So let's just work out or remember how that goes. I have to take him off too, because that's coming off, because it's going to sit on there. There's all sorts of things that actually plug in properly, like it's been designed for it. There we go. And now all of a sudden, I'll have to zoom out a little bit, we have a very magnificent from top to bottom run through. So now what we'll end up with is something that runs into there, down there, hops through, and that will go straight into where we had our piranha plant. So I think this makes this look absolutely magnificent. But as I said, I got this a couple of years ago from Japan, and I haven't seen any inkling that this is going to be going anywhere soon. And I'm not sure I've seen any on eBay recently as well. So a little bit of good luck. But as you can see, from a whole perspective, I think this makes the game look absolutely amazing. I would argue that the quality of this top thing isn't quite as good as the bottom. We've got these sort of slightly random things that are sitting here, and it's not quite as robust, I don't think. Another piranha plant there. Not quite as robust as the one that we've just been looking at, but at the same time, I think it's a really nice addition. As a whole, I'm really pleased I own it. I wouldn't be sad if I didn't own it, and quite frankly, most people will never know that. On the Japanese box, I think it probably looks at it somewhere. Oh, here's a copy of the, hang on. Here's a copy of the Bowser game, by the way, and you might end up seeing that at some point. I don't believe there is any inkling that this can combine with anything, no. So nobody's really feeling as though they're going to miss out, if I'm honest. But regardless, it's a pretty toy, and I think that any Mario fan would be super pleased with it. So, is Super Mario Adventure Game DX or Deluxe worth your money? Well, I would say absolutely yes. I think the Mario theming is really good. I think as a ball running around a maze kind of game, I think it works really well. There are others, and I'll mention that in a second, but I think it's really good. I have to say, I do think that the addition of these little vinyl figures, which you'll get from something else, is good, but those other games are kind of expensive, and quite frankly, I've bought some of them just to get the figures, and the other bits are just sitting around. So not one of the better investments, but anyway, so be it. But they do make the game, as we saw earlier, I think look much better. This is pointless, so we can get rid of that. And so, this is what you're paying for here. But what I've seen it, as I said, between about £20 and £30 in the UK at the moment, which I think is really good. I paid probably at least double that, and that's including, maybe not including shipping from Japan. So, that's just me. So I think, I would very happily pay about £25 for this. I think it's really good. I think it is pretty solid and robust. The plastic is not quite as good as some other toys, but at the same time, I think you'll get a lot of life out of it, and perhaps the bend is probably a little bit of a good thing as well. I think that, it will stand up to a lot of repeated play, which is absolutely essential, and something where you're going to be bashing these buttons quite a lot. It does come with 2 of the balls as well, which is really useful, just in case you lose one. I have tested this game actually with ball bearings, metal ball bearings of exactly the same diameter. It doesn't work as well, which I think is a real shame. The plastic balls are okay, but they're kind of a bit light and floaty, and I don't think they have quite the same weight as some ball bearings, which, is good for this game, but in terms of a satisfying experience, I don't think it's quite what I'd be looking for. Regardless, I think that this is well worth the money. However, if you don't already have it, as I'm going to recommend in pretty much everything, I would always recommend, and this is an old version, Screwball Scramble. It's between £20 and £25, usually in UK. It's been available since about the 70s, if I remember rightly, under a number of different games. I think, Run Yourself Ragged in the United States, Snafu, Screwball Scramble seems to be the main thing for it now. And there's a Screwball Scramble too, so I'm going to be honest, if you don't have this already, and obviously in a new shiny new box rather than this sort of 30 or 40-year-old copy that I've got here, then go buy this first. However, if you do enjoy Mario, you've got Screwball Scramble already, you want to ping a ball around a maze for a little bit, I think this is a really, really satisfying little game to play. If you can find the expansion bit on eBay that I showed you earlier, I mean, eBay's the only place I've ever seen to be able to get it, then pick it up if you can get it at a decent price. Watch out, because there's some sort of very tiny kind of pocket version as well that's not that one. So you're just going to have to make sure you're looking really well at the colours. The other version has fewer colours and just basically doesn't look quite as pretty. But nevertheless, I do think this is a really nice little piece of kit. And I really enjoy getting out and playing with it. My kids enjoy getting out and playing with it as well. But as I said, the little plastic balls just can sort of disappear off into the ether. So you just be really, really careful with those. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video, you found it very informative, and you might consider going and buying this if it looks like the sort of thing that you would be into. Thank you.